I was going to the hospital having these headaches that paralyzed me, and I had numbness with it. Platelets had dropped down to 34,000.
I had some bruises and petechiae on my legs, and I had numbness earlier that day with my mouth and my fingers. My platelets was 9,000 at that time.
Today I woke up with, what I call red dots all over my body, and then it was like had blood coming through my teeth, and had bruises all over my arms and stuff. And he was just like, your platelet count is under 6,000.
When I first heard the word TTP, my mother had told me about it. She had done research on it. I guess it was overwhelming because I didn't know what was going to happen next.
What is that? Never heard of it. Start Googling and trying to search what I can find. No real information out there.
The doctor was explaining all this stuff to me, and it was just too much to take in. And he was just like, you're not going anywhere.
It took me a couple of years to get my anxiety under control and not freak out at every bruise, every headache, anything that I would think that was odd and abnormal to make me want to call my doctor, go to the emergency room, get labs.
I still get migraines. I get tired here and there. I lost some weight. I feel more energy, but I still have times where I just don't want to do anything.
It's been like a bumpy road because for the most part I have my good days, but I would be lying if I said it didn't affect me mentally.
Where I'm really focused on kind of understanding the challenges of living with TTP. After you get better, what are some of the challenges that you face? In ways that we support them, we actually call them twice a year and just kind of see how they're doing. And then based on what they tell us, we're able to kind of provide support. So we're able to intervene with doctors sometimes. We are able to write letters on their behalf. We're able to answer their questions and kind of provide that kind of support. We also have support group meetings similar to what you guys do, where patients come, they eat, they learn, they talk to each other, they don't feel alone anymore. And then we also do research. And so I think research is probably kind of my passion, is just kind of trying to really help people with this disease. And so a lot of what we do in terms of supporting patients is really trying to just understand from them what's going on and how can we improve our care.
And a disease where we, the hematologists, are really intimately involved in trying to explain to the patient what's going on and the family, to call the shots in terms of treatment, and then to continue to follow the patient over the long term after they've recovered from their acute episode to try to manage any long-term complications that result and to try to prevent future relapses. And so there's something about going through that very dramatic experience with a patient that I have found always brings me very close to the patient in a way that we don't necessarily see with some of the other diseases that we manage. And so I would say that it's the course of disease leading to those very close relationships with patients that's had the greatest impact on me.
But so far, I've been really enjoyed what I've been doing. Combining the patient care, education, as well as research, and also community outreach. Right. So in my clinical role, I actually attend service in blood banking, apheresis, and also coagulation. Right. So this way, I can actually directly interact with patient that I'm actually taking care of. So the other aspect of my job is also really rewarding, is to educate our next generation of physicians, particularly in the School of Medicine. We have a medical student, we also have a graduate student, as well as a resident and fellow physician. So making sure that we have the next generation of scientists, as well as a physician, that actually coming after us.
So I think if you're a patient or a family member, just keep telling your story. I think that patients sometimes get discouraged and they feel like, I'm 5 years out, I'm 6 years out, I'm fine. And they, even if they don't feel fine, they just feel like nobody cares anymore. And so I would just encourage people to continue to tell your story, that people need to recognize that this disease impacts everyone differently. And that it's very, even though it's the same illness, no one goes through the same thing. There's going to be some people who have this disease and they're totally fine. There's going to be some people who have this disease multiple times. There's going to be some people who have this disease and they never think about it another day in their lives. And there's others who every day they wake up, they check for petechiae, and that's okay. You live your life the way you need to. Don't let it limit what you want to do, but it's okay to recognize that your disease course doesn't have to be the same as someone else's.
We in the healthcare profession, one of our main missions is education, particularly of those frontline providers, because we know that early recognition and diagnosis of this disease and early implementation of therapy can be life-saving. One of these individuals, frontline providers, could go through their entire career never having seen a case, but then when one shows up at their doorstep, they need to be ready to suspect it. They don't need to diagnose it, but they need to suspect it, and they need to call a specialist, a hematologist, who can then come and confirm the diagnosis. Another thing that I think is really important for us in the medical profession, as well as as patients in the TTP community to do, is to support research. We have made tremendous strides in our management of this disease, and that progress has only been possible because of research and because of patients being courageous enough to participate in research and lead to the advancement of knowledge.
I think the most important thing is if you as a patient, I would encourage them to participate the research, activity. If you are an entrepreneur, you're someone that really like to support the disease. I think we need to getting research funding to help this kind of the research activity. And the other thing we need to do is the education. So the people like you guys and the Ree Wynn Foundation, has been really tremendously helpful in terms of help us to bring the patient and their family member together, and so allow them to understand the disease better, and also allow them to actually meet other patients. So they feel they're not alone. This is not something, something weird happened to them. And there's other patient have a similar condition, and there's always a hope that these patients can be cured.
An example of one of the activities that we do together with the Ree Wynn Foundation is hold an annual patient education fair on TTP for patients and families. Again, with the overarching goal of making sure that our patients are as educated as possible about this disease, about treatment options, because we think that in the end, well-educated patients leads to improved outcomes for everyone. So great to have been connected to the Ree Wynn Foundation, because you guys have so much heart.
The impact the Ree Wynn Foundation has on my life, the support groups, the virtual meetings, the virtual education day, it helped a lot because it helps me to understand TTP more and understand, okay, this is why I'm going through this. Well, Miss Vicki already knows she is my Earth Angel. She's the Earth Angel for all TTP survivors. Oh, y'all really mean a lot to me.
From the moment that Ree Wynn has came into my life, I think there's been a positive impact, because most importantly, I would like to say that it helped my family a lot. During the time when I was, in the hospital and everything, I just remember my mom feeling a sense of comfort, being able to talk to somebody, or just being able to, someone to help guide her a little bit. And, the same with my dad, being able to feel a sense of comfort, and that made me feel good. Yeah, I appreciate everything.
To be honest with you, Vicky kind of made me not feel as guilty, because I was very guilty that I survived and other people haven't, where they died from other stuff. And you losing your daughter made me feel worse, but you guys made it so strong by getting the word out there for people to be saved and give us a chance to live, if the word doesn't go out and the support isn't around you, you can just want to give up, and it's not worth it. Thank you, and I thank you guys for everything you do for all of us.